Greetings and welcome back to another episode of His Will for Your Life. I am your host, Sherry Levon Harris, and we have joining with us who is not a stranger to this podcast, is Daryl Williams. You know, he says he's Jesus' favorite. So we'll be right back. Please like, tag, and share. And make sure that on the podcast you comment to build up our algorithm. Thank you so much, and we'll be right back.
His will for your life with Cherie Harris. This is your weekly Wednesday 7 p.m. podcast. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Informative, hot topics, testimonies, interviews, along with your weekly guests and more. And now here's your host, Cherie Harris.
Greetings and welcome back to His Will for Your Life. Again, I'm your host, Sherry Levon Harris, and we have with us Daryl Williams, Jesus' favorite. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well. So we're not going to even front because we had a good conversation in the background before we even begin to come live. But I want to give you this opportunity to share with those who don't know you, who you are, and what you do.
Well, my name is Daryl Williams. You can, I would say senior, but legally that's not my name. So it's just Daryl Williams. I am from heaven. Well, from Columbus, Georgia, by way of heaven. Pittsville, Alabama, running all through my veins. You can add in Savannah, Charlotte, everybody else too. Truck driver extraordinaire, awesome dad, you name it. I'm he, minister. Whoever you want me to be, I can be that person, except a thief or a robber.
All right.
So good evening, everyone. It's kind of weird. Because it's usually like 18 people up here.
I know, right? But we are going to be on Sunday, so
right.
That's a good thing. I just feel like tonight's going to be a blessing. That's probably why we couldn't get on last night.
Right.
Had technical difficulties on my end, and it was just bizarre. Because after a lot of time, I was back in business. It was crazy.
Right.
But we're just going to talk about mental health and self-care.
Right.
Tonight. And so we were having a little dialogue in the background, talking about various things that we go through. And sometimes we kind of not so much mask them. We just don't make it out in the open.
Right.
Tell me some of the things that you deal with that contributes or not contributes, but it also wears on you as a man, with mental health. Because sometimes when we think of mental health, we think of somebody that's schizophrenic or somebody that does crazy things when that's really not.
Right. How deep do we want to go and how much time we got?
We can go as deep as you want.
Okay.
And, how long as you want.
but without getting into too many like detailed specifics, I think as men, right, one of the greatest things that we struggle with that we're not going to talk about regularly is two things in particular: inadequacy and imposter syndrome. Unfortunately, the world has made it to where it's almost like men aren't needed or aren't good enough if you can't secure, different areas of, life and it's not necessarily the life that God created for us, but life and in general, as far as like culturally speaking, and things like that. If we're not careful, if we look at social media, if you can't provide a 7,000 square foot house and 6 cars in the driveway, while working at I don't know, some law firm or whatever the case may be, then you would probably jump off a bridge. I mean,
Mhm.
if we're honest about it.
Mhm.
And or if you can't provide a trip every week, or a shopping spree every other day or something like that, it may seem as if though you can be inadequate. But especially me being a single father, I think the number one thing that I struggled with in the past was being my fatherhood being challenged, whether it be sometimes by family members,
Mhm.
or the women that I had children with. I mean, it's like it's almost as if everything. I see people with this narrative online all the time. Oh, choose better.
Mm.
Sometimes you can be with a person 45 years,
Mhm.
and on that 46th year, you get a brand new person that
Mhm.
you've never seen before. And
Wow.
all of a sudden they turn into some evil, whomever.
Mhm.
And now it's your fault that you chose them. Well, I didn't know this 45 years ago.
Mhm.
I've seen every season that I thought I could see of that person,
Mhm.
but now I'm seeing something different, but it's my fault somehow. So
Mhm.
it's different things like that. I mean, shoot. I mean, spiritually, if like I would now, this is a joke I say, and I told God this, but I had to repent. I said, God, whatever you do, don't ever make me a pastor, because nobody wants a pastor. Nobody cares about a pastor. A pastor is the worst position in the fivefold ministry. I was like, a pastor is there with the sheep. They tending to wounds. They smell like sheep. They having to go rescue the sheep and all this type of stuff. But they get the least amount of respect. But you get some slick tongue prophet, and not saying that they're false or anything, but they come in with the excitement and so this and this is gonna happen and blah 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 and all of that. And now all of a sudden, that person's a superstar, even in your own congregation. Never mind the fact that, you're having to deal with, these people's everyday lives. You got to deal with them every day. But it's not unless you got the pomp and circumstance around you that people really want to accept who it is that you are. And I just, lay people don't get it. It's just, it's rough. I understand why Jeremiah was, in the position he was in.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why he said, "I'm gonna make your head as hard as flint." But
right,
the thing about it is, with the prophets today, they're preaching prosperity
right.
opposed to what we really need to know. Of
But
preparing ourselves as well.
okay, so inherently, I don't think it's completely wrong. I just think it's out of order.
Hmm.
Like, it's certain things we need to get in place first before we get, because
Absolutely.
God does prosper us. That's
Yeah.
not a secret.
No.
He absolutely positively prospers us. But I think some people like jumped over the greens and went straight to the steak. Well,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
need them greens to keep that steak flowing through your, what I'm saying, through your body like you're supposed to. So
Right. Right.
yeah, we have to live a certain way. It's not my word. I didn't write it. I'm only repeating what God said. So
Come on now. Come on,
right.
Pastor.
No, 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 please don't.
How do you define self care, and what are some ways you practice it in your daily life?
Self care is absolutely the number one thing self care is selfish. And guess what? You need to be that way.
Mhm.
That's not a bad word. It's not a bad word to be selfish. Don't be, routinely selfish, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But if even Jesus broke away to go pray. Um, and he asked his disciples, could you not pray with me for an hour?
Mhm.
He needed that time, that alone time, and it's okay. I embrace my self care, whether I'm going on vacation or if I'm just like last week when I had a rough week. Well, I had a long week. I ain't gonna say rough. I had a long week, having to go out of town, for my cousin's funeral and things like that. And that Saturday when I got off, I just stayed in the bed all day. I
Mhm.
didn't. Hey, Paula, I stayed in the bed all day and I didn't care. Who cared? I didn't care who called me. I didn't care about any of that. I got up one time to go eat, and when I got me some food, I came back home and got right back in my bed.
Mhm.
You have to do what makes you happy. Well, you have to do what makes you happy. You have to do what makes you. You know how you reset, um, and you have to prioritize that. Thank you,
Mhm.
Paula. You have to prioritize that, and make your life, because if you can't go back and you recover and things like that, you won't be the good for anybody else.
You won't. And
You won't be.
I've learned that the hard way. And I also learned that if we don't take care of ourselves, our body will shut down on us.
Absolutely.
There used to be a
Absolutely.
commercial, and they don't show it anymore, but I wish they'll bring it back. And this man was at the office, and he was working late, and he just kept going and going and going till his heart came jumped out of his chest and just start running down the aisle, the hallway.
Right.
And it made me think about, if we don't stop, our body's going to shut down on
Yep.
us.
Yep. It will. And these bodies have expiration dates. These bodies, you sometimes need to go back to the factory settings. You have to. I mean, I just talked to a man the other day about starting a new workout program because this belly is getting out of hand.
Who you telling? I'm so glad we we only see the top. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Seriously, but it's the things that we're eating, the processed foods and stuff like that. And then we're carrying the stress of
Hmm.
it, and we think we're eating certain things that are not so. We're
Right.
eating salmon, or we think we're eating salmon, we think we're eating steak, and they're putting dye in there and
Right.
all kind of crazy stuff.
Right. I mean, and honestly, if we look at everything, being made organically nowadays, why is that even an option? They should always be organic. I remember growing up with my grandparents, like they killed their own hogs, they wranged their own chicken necks and things like that, and they lived longer. I remember my granddad was talking about eating pork like a pound at a time because
Mm,
at work, and he worked on the railroad, and I'm like, how did you survive? Because we couldn't do it nowadays. So
mhm.
I see all of those things, and it's like, man, this time have changed.
It
So,
has.
I mean, and a lot of that had a lot to do with, government. We became a capitalist society, so we
Mhm.
got to make sure that we get the product out as fast as we could to
Yes.
make as much money as we could with as little less as loss as possible.
Hmm.
And that's the society we're in now. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Good man. I enjoy being home and doing nothing. We had a great speaker recently, and he
right,
gave us these notes on how to say no.
yep,
Absolutely. And I just learned the word no. Um, well, it's been a few years now, but there's a period.
right.
And the no is a
No,
complete sentence.
exactly.
You
Ain't
don't
no
have to
ellipsis,
get,
ain't no comma. It's just no,
yep,
and
no
that's a complete sentence.
explanation is needed. I
Right.
would love to, but I can't. You are so kind to think of me, but I can't. Sounds great. That's good, Paula.
Uh-huh.
Not now, maybe
That
next time.
that
This is
right there still too much. It's
time
just no.
due to my obligations. This is not possible. I have exhausted my lendable budget, and
Yep.
that's true.
Yep.
You have to get to the point because
Yep.
sometimes we want to say no in a kind way and add something to it. No, I can't.
I would tell you, in my personal life, I get blamed for being mean because
Mhm,
I'm direct and forward. But I sometimes you got to just do what you got to do and just say
mhm,
what. I sometimes I be like, what does that have to do with me? I straight up ask. Or somebody will say, "Well, this happened." I'm like, "Okay, shout out to them. Congratulations."
mhm.
So
Yeah.
I had to learn that, and it wasn't easy, but it made my life a whole lot easier. I can tell you that.
I stumbled upon the scripture in Corinthians some years ago, and Paul was talking about money. But he said, "Why be burdened and everybody else at ease?" And even though he was talking
Right,
about money, about them giving, I took it as a model for my life.
right,
Why should I be burdened and everybody else is okay?
right,
You know what I
right,
mean? And so that's what I follow now. Out of
right,
context, but it worked for me.
right.
You
I
know,
believe it can apply to anything almost. I
pretty
mean, whether it's money, job, family, whatever. Everybody else got it easy, but here I am stressed out. That's not what
much.
God is looking
Struggling
for. Right,
just so you can be happy. And your poor planning does not constitute an emergency on my part.
right.
And
Absolutely.
and so that's where we have to be. In what ways have you experienced mental health challenges related to your identity as a member of the minority group?
Ooh. Okay, so I was just on my one of my best friend's podcast the other day, and we were talking about a variety of different things. And the one thing I can think of off the top of my head right now, and I've been a believer since his wedding, actually, back in 2007. One of the things I've always done as a believer, as a man, as a black man in America, was I've always taken people for who they say they were,
Mhm.
right? Because I don't live with you, I don't get to see your everyday life. If you tell me that you're a believer, the actions that I'm seeing, if I whether I agree with them or not, I take
Mhm.
word for it,
Mhm.
because that's not on me. The only thing I believe I can judge is fruit of the spirit. I
Mhm.
can't judge anybody's salvation
Mhm.
because I don't know who's saved and who isn't. I don't know who has what mark written on the head because I can't see
Right.
in the spirit like that. God didn't give me that information.
Mhm.
But it was, and this is my truth. Let me make this disclaimer. This is my truth. This has
Mhm.
nothing to do with Pastor Sherry, anyone else. Up to I was almost walking around with rose colored glasses on
Mhm.
up until 2016.
Mhm.
There's a certain sect of believers that I just don't trust anymore. Um,
Ooh, my good.
I, I'm just honest about it. I don't hate them. I don't I don't
I
despise.
just had this conversation today.
I literally just do not trust them anymore.
Wow.
Simply because even to this day, they still riding for certain things. And I'm like, you wouldn't want this in your local church. You know that you wouldn't. And I've seen where you've rejected people because of some of the characteristics certain people have.
Mhm.
But now all of a sudden you're saying, if we're a Christian nation, which we're not, we're supposed to be, we should be, we could be, but we're not. We are not a theocracy, we're a democracy.
Mhm.
I just don't trust you anymore.
Mhm.
Never mind all that happened up to that point. You know what? I can go back even further. I should say 2008. 2008 was when it really started, but 2016 really catapulted it and made it magnified it and made it much bigger than what it should have been. It's just a certain sect I just don't trust anymore.
Mhm.
And with me looking the way I look, me being a gun owner, me being, the stuff that I'm operating in, my American rights, so
Mhm.
to speak. I just don't trust certain people like I used to anymore. I don't trust. I, it's this church I've been going to in Charlotte, and I really love the church. Right, it's a
Mhm.
great church, but I have a problem with black adjacent people that
Mhm.
don't look like me.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is, I got white friends that are white, and I really appreciate them being white, whether they're redneck or
Mhm.
whomever. I don't want to see you basically shucking and jiving and all this type of stuff just to gain my trust or whatever the case may be. Just be who you are.
Mhm.
And I don't care about. I like, again. I don't hate people. I just look at you differently nowadays, especially being a black man here in America.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
That's,
It's so sad that I have been spending the last maybe few months praying for us as believers because we have become gangster. It's like it's like a hustle going on. It's
yep,
you hustling the saints. You're
yep,
not being truthful. It's
right,
like you look like the world. So
yep,
now,
yep,
it's almost like when David said, uh, "If I'd known you hated me, I would have hid myself from you." You know what I mean?
exactly, yep,
It's,
yep,
we
and
took
then and then
counsel together. We prayed together. We worship together.
yep,
And now, who are you?
and to believe, to see that you have these beliefs and things like that, that is amazing to me. It's like, well, dang, where did that come from? And look, like I said, I don't hate you. I just don't
Mhm.
trust you, and
Right.
that's all it is. I don't trust you.
Whew, can't trust the saints, but we're not going to it. That's another topic, right?
Right.
How do you cope with stress and anxiety related to discrimination or systemic oppression?
Oh, I keep to myself, and I've learned especially in the field that I work in,
Mhm.
it's a white male dominated field. I'm a truck driver, so the face of trucking is changing. But I don't listen to the CB radio anymore, because, and forgive my bluntness, but I've seen days where I'm in my truck, I could be stuck in traffic, and people get to arguing, and a white man will call you a nigga over the radio and be the same man to get out and open the door for you at the truck stop. Oh, come on in, buddy. I can't. That's one thing I do to protect myself, because I don't want my blood to boil while dealing with these people. And they
Mhm.
don't say nigga; they use the hard er.
Mhm.
I'm sitting there like, man, you wouldn't say this to my face though, or you wouldn't say this to that person's face. And it's like, everybody becomes a bully online or behind the closed doors. But when it really comes down to it, mm-mm. Like I work in a very racist area.
Mhm.
Very, and it's not even covert; it's overt. Like it's like, man, it's there, it's true. So I do that by staying out of the way. I keep myself away from certain things. I don't like talking to truck drivers. I don't like having conversations with them. Like we work at night, and a lot of guys be on the phone with each other 3 and 4 way calls. Don't call me. I'm good. Just let me listen to my radio. Let me have my window down, and I listen to whatever. Just I don't call me, and I'll talk to friends. I'll do whatever. But I know I don't trust you, so I just stay out of your way.
And it's so sad that we can't trust,
Yeah, I just think.
and I, I'm not going to talk about that. We'll talk about that behind the scenes, but yeah, okay. Mm.
Because
Are there any?
if I was to say something, then
Uh-huh.
I'm looked at as um um combative. I'm
Mhm.
looked at as somebody who, oh, it ain't that serious. Well, no, it's not that serious to you because you don't experience it.
Mhm.
You don't your family doesn't have a history of going through it. No, it's not that serious to you. Um, you know, you tell me to pull myself up by my bootstraps, but I don't have boots. So or you cruising in the home, but I'm still looking for a parking spot. At the edge of the parking lot. You
Mhm.
you can't tell me not to feel a certain way about certain things.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Right. Ooh, are there any cultural or community resources that you turn to for support when dealing with mental health and self care challenges?
Yes, I turned to my two best friends. Well, besides Jesus, I turned to Tyrone and Joseph. And beside because they know me and I know them, and my best friend, my cousin Tania. I sit there and these people know where my bones are buried, and there's no judgment. I can say whatever, I can be whomever, and and I know our conversation is going to stay right there. That to me, that's the greatest release. And like lately, my best friend has been. I shout out to Tyrone. He's been keeping me engaged and by sending me fiction pictures. Now I
Mhm.
told him he's offended me, but he don't care about that because I haven't been fishing in a while. But he's been keeping me engaged, and I kind of sort of know that's what he's doing because I know him and he loves me and I love him right back. So I use those people that I trust with my very life, to like my best friend is my emergency contact.
That's good. Do you, because now this is not a question that I have, but do you feel like everybody should have that Tyrone?
Let me tell you something. I don't know how people don't have a Tyrone in their lives because look at Tiffany. I don't know how everybody don't have a Tyrone in their lives because you need somebody that can like you be like, hey man, I just need to get this out. I've called Tyrone and I've just, laid it all out. I said, all right, I'll talk to you later. And it was nothing. You know what I'm saying? I know because if he called me, not right now because I'm busy, but if he called me and did that, I would just sit there and I listen. I wouldn't offer anything. I would just sit there and I would listen, and I would say, "Okay," and I'm gonna go pray for him. And like I tell my friends all the time, "Hey man, I got your arms lifted in the spirit." You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Sometimes we parting that Red Sea is not easy when you got a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of people behind you and things like that. So you need good people like that. Yeah, you need best friends. Like you need people that you can Exactly, exactly, Tiffany. You need that, and you got to be open to it. You have to
Right.
be, you have to give in order to receive. And I tell you, I just told Joe, y'all, my Proverbs 17 and 17 brothers. I can't. I don't know how I can function without them, and that's the truth. And it's not to idolize them or anything like that.
Right.
These are just people who are genuine to me and towards me.
My closest friend is a male. Actually, my closest friend is Ray.
Okay.
Ray, I've known him almost, well, over 30 years.
Uh-huh.
And is a no judgment zone. I can talk to him about anything.
Right. Right.
And what I love about it most is he's also a praying brother.
Right. Absolutely.
Can pray, and we study together. It's just good to have someone like that. But I also always pray for someone like me,
Right.
because I'm a loyal friend. I'm a good friend.
Right.
You don't find too many of those.
Right.
And
Sometimes, man, when you have such good friends, I sometimes question, man. I'm like, dang, am I that good of a friend? Because I'm telling you, my brothers have shown up for me. I don't know about nobody else, but I be getting upset when people try to move in on them too. Don't try to take my best friend, God dog, and I be getting upset.
Exactly. This is my friend. You gotta get your own.
No.
How do you balance the need for self-care with the stigma or taboo associated with mental health issues within your community?
Ooh. Okay, in my community, being a black man from the South,
Mhm.
I mean, capital B black. Um, Black people as a whole, we are just now getting to the point where we can talk about mental health. Because back then, I was just thinking like a lot of stuff we didn't have growing up. We didn't have a lot of, autism. We didn't have a lot of different things,
Mhm.
schizophrenia, things like that. If we did, it was mislabeled.
Mhm.
It was mislabeled as, oh, they just crazy and not understanding that, some things are demons
Mhm.
and other things are just straight up mental health issues. And I'm okay with saying that as a believer. But we're just now getting to the point where we are getting rid of the stigma of talking to people and thinking that is and not thinking that it's crazy to talk to somebody, because a lot of us was raised with the mindset what happens in this house stays in this house, and that's good and that's true up to a certain point.
Mhm.
Sometimes the house is the problem. Yeah, right, or undiagnosed. Sometimes the house is the problem and we don't want to accept that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You said something about demon. We chuck it up as being a demon,
Mhm.
and I also talk about, I always said this, and then there was a meme that brought it back to me. I always say that, our counselors need to be sagacious. So they are wisdom, but they know between spirit and they know
Right.
trauma.
Mhm.
And what is happening is we're casting out demons when it's really trauma that a
Right.
person
Right.
is going
Right.
through,
Right.
and then they can't really expose it right there in the church because the family that did it is sitting right in the pew.
Right. There you go.
And so we 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 need to start pulling them to the side, maybe, or making them welcome to come and speak to us, because sometimes they don't have that outlet.
Right. Right. And they got to be able to trust us with it. I say this to myself all the time, but I say it to people too. I'm like, God chose me because I can keep a secret. Everybody don't want you to blab what they got going on. Everybody don't want you to.
They don't want to hear it
Um,
in the message.
they don't
They don't want
exactly.
to hear it in a subliminal
Come
testimony.
right. Exactly. Everybody don't want you to do that. If you can't preserve what somebody's going through with integrity,
Mhm.
then you're not worthy to be in the position that you're in. That doesn't matter if you father, mother, friend,
Mhm.
whomever it is, because people, it's already embarrassing to certain people to reveal certain things. And what you're doing is you're causing that person to clam up to not ever speak again. And that's the most dangerous thing a person can do is be that's right, Omar, and be um um what's the word I'm looking for? Isolated, be self-isolated. You don't want a person going through something to be isolated all the time.
Mhm.
People want to have the freedom to be able to walk around to be able to say, hey man, I'm dealing with so and so. Hey sis, pray for me. And don't just, put up the praying hands or high five on social media. Like, and God convicts me. If I say I'm gonna pray for you, I have to do it in the
I have
moment.
to pray on the spot.
Yeah,
It's
I have to do it in the moment. He convicted me
part of
because I'm
prayer.
like, okay, I'm gonna pray for you. And
Mhm.
then I would go on about my life. But God was like, did you just lie to like, you know what? You're
Absolutely.
right. You're
Yeah.
right. Let me let me go ahead and stop. Well, and the prayer ain't got to be long. It can
Mhm.
just go right to the problem. You don't have to
And we
start.
don't need everybody praying for us either because everybody don't
Absolutely,
believe.
absolutely. And not only believe, not only not that, everybody don't want to see you come out.
They don't want to see you healed.
Yeah, some people don't want to see you come out. Some people want to see you at the very worst thing you can go through. Like, you and I, we were talking um before we started. You was like, well, you would never know that about you. Yeah, because everybody don't need to know.
Mhm.
I'm not going to broadcast everything because I understand
Mhm.
that there are people out there looking just like, and I'm sitting up here like, I ain't even really got it going on like that. Yeah, you hate me for nothing.
Mhm.
That includes some associates, that includes some so-called friends, that includes some family. It's
Mhm.
like, dang, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. I could
Mhm.
be living paycheck to paycheck for all you know. I could be
Absolutely.
doggone walking to work right now or barely got food in my house. You never know.
That's true. But
So,
see, the world makes us think we have to look like what we're going through.
right,
You know what I mean? You can't get dressed up. You can't, you know, have something nice.
right, right,
You got to look like you're just struggling.
right,
You
right.
got to look like you've been starving.
Yep, absolutely. And like in the thing that really burns my grits is this.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, Tiffany. I hate, and I say this with such fervor and passion. I hate when people don't want to see people in the church successful or have certain things,
Mm-hmm.
as if me being broke or poor is a sign of me being closer to God. That's dumb. If I'm going to be close to God, He has everything. Why would I not have something?
Or
Like,
they
why?
don't want to give to you because you do have something nice already.
Right. Or like it's okay for you to drive a Mercedes, but if I'm a man of God, I got to drive an old beat up pickup truck just to show that I'm humble. What? What? Are you serious right now?
Because
Oh,
that's how the church has conditioned us to feel like we can't have.
right. Or I got
My
to a church.
father is rich in houses and land.
He's my dad. I'm good to my children. He's way better than me than I could be to
Mhm.
mine.
Yeah,
So there's that.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about Daryl. You don't have to go into detail. Tell how Daryl day to day, how do you make it from day to day?
What y'all want to know?
What did you say?
Excuse me. What do people want to know? Because I found that it's hardest to talk about yourself over the years. Um, I talk about myself, and it's like I'm open to almost anything.
Some people struggle in silence. Some people don't share what they're going through. And, like I shared with my son, don't always be afraid to ask a question because
Right,
it's somebody, I guarantee you, in that classroom who will thank you for asking that question because they didn't want to. They didn't have the courage to. And a lot of times we struggle, but we're afraid to share it because we don't want to look like the oddball. We don't want to look like we're the only one going through. And I used to feel like that. But once I was like, I don't care. You talking about somebody being free? I'm
right,
struggling. I'm going through. No, you can't say that. You gotta have faith. I do have faith, but right now, I,
right.
I'm I'm in a
It's the
season.
season. The
Yeah,
Bible tells us the rain. There's rain for just and the unjust. That doesn't take away from my salvation.
right.
But what I have learned is the eyeball is the one having all the fun these days. I ain't even gonna lie to you. But about me, I've always been shy. People don't believe that. I've
Mm.
always been shy. I've always been and I know somebody gonna comment soon, so I've always been shy. I've always been introverted, and I didn't know it until I got to therapy. Because I didn't know what it was. I
I'm
mean,
shy and I'm an introvert, believe it or not.
yeah, I didn't, this gonna sound weird, but like, you could probably couldn't tell by my past, but like I've always been intimidated by pretty women. You know, I've always had
Mm,
a I've always had I've never had the ability to just walk up to a woman and say it happened once or twice and it was just awful. But whatever. I've never had the ability to approach a woman and say, "Hey, I think you're nice. I think we should get together," or whatever the case may be. I never could do that. I never learned what confidence and all of these things were until I got saved. It wasn't until I got saved that I started really like walking in the power of the Holy Spirit and becoming more going and things like that.
mhm, mhm,
I've always been blue collar, no matter what. I've always hated school. Not that I was dumb or anything like that. I hated school. I never wanted to go to college. I never wanted any of those things for myself. My
mhm,
whole thing was I just want to work, just work, work, work. I can get a job. I can just work, work, work. I'm more of a realist. I dream sometimes, but I'm more of a realist than anything else.
mhm,
And I'm very, very, very blunt. I'm very direct. I don't believe in sugarcoating anything. And I posted. I hate small talk.
mhm,
I because I always in some of my experience, I've seen where it tried to lead to people try to gaslight and to try to manipulate me, and I had enough of that, and I
mhm,
don't ever want to go through that again because I think that's probably one of the most hurtful things you could do to a person.
mhm,
Um, you're being selfish. You're taking my choice away from me. Just
mhm,
tell me, hey, look, or ask me, hey, could you do so and so, so and so? If I can, I will. Even if I could and I don't, it's still
mhm,
my choice. Um, let me see. It wasn't until like I started really spending time with God and started understanding and knowing who
mhm,
I was in Him that I was able to just like grow and be more outspoken and more willing to be, open to certain things. Like
mhm.
even now, I have certain people like Jesus. I got people. I got the 3, I got the 12, and I got the 5,000 or the 15,000. I mostly deal with the 3 and sometimes the 12, but the 5,000 they only assume who they know or whatever. It's I've I'm a hopeful romantic. People don't want to believe that. I know certain people watching ain't gonna want to believe that, but I'm actually nice. I'm actually nice. I get frustrated easily though with people because it's like, why we gotta go through all of this? Just let's just deal with one another straight up. I don't like that. Um, I'm actually nice, and I don't like certain things, and you'll know that I don't like certain things. My face tells on me all the time.
Mine too. I wear my emotions on my sleeve.
Yeah, I love my children more than they'll ever know. And yeah, there's that. So I'm really nice, and I don't know. Yeah, that's me.
You're a nice person. You know, it's interesting. We've never met in person,
Ever.
but we just I connect to you,
Right.
and it's been some time. So that's just that shows because you're really transparent. You're real, and
Yeah.
that's needed. Even when I was like praying for who to be a part of the panel, you were like one of the first people that came to mind that I
Okay.
didn't know.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because you keep it real, you balance, and what we feel as believers to live a balanced life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Balance is definitely important.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's and two things, balance and decision making. I think as believers, we struggle with that. Sometimes we can be a little too churchy, and sometimes we can be waiting on I'm just waiting on God. God's like, man, I'm already at this place. I just need for you to decide to come on. And then not only that, if we don't make a decision based off of us waiting on God. I think we miss a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
Got this. There's a saying out that says a good sailor is not made on calm seas, and
Hmm.
that's true. So that water gonna get choppy. It's gonna get rough,
Hmm.
but just remember your training. Just remember, what it is that God told you. He was like, "I'm the Alpha and the Omega." So I see the beginning, and I already know the end, but I never said I was going to leave you throughout the middle. And I think that's where we lose it as believers. Excuse me. We think that God has forgotten us in the middle, but no, a lot of times He's carrying us and He's walking with us. That path is this wide.
Mhm.
Came up one said you can only walk in a straight line on a path like that. It's not that wide. Um, and I think as people, as believers, we have this idea because I used to have a mindset of God can do it all, and He can, and He will if that's what you believe. But there's nothing wrong with therapy. There's nothing wrong with going to the doctor. There's nothing wrong with these things because it's not gonna, one of Jesus's disciples was a physician. He was a doctor. He chose a doctor to walk with him. So it's okay if we go to doctors. It's okay if we go to doctors, people. But at the same time, God does have a wonder working miracle power that lives in us that can do it on the spot.
Absolutely. So
So
your shirt says normalized therapy.
shout out to my friend that gave it to me.
Yes. And some of us shy away from that, but we have to be careful when we do go to therapists, though.
Right.
Make sure that they know the word.
My therapist absolutely positively knows the word. So um if we go back to the Bible, right, and the Bible tells us forsake not the assembly of ourselves, and
Mhm.
this is how I've always looked at it, and I gotta be careful saying this because people don't like to hear certain things like this, but um we were put here to uplift and build the kingdom,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and some people in the kingdom need to be construction workers, others need to be janitors. Some people need to be doctors, others need to be dentists. Some
Mhm.
people need to be truck drivers, others need to be cab drivers.
Mhm.
All of those positions are important.
Mhm.
There's actually none no greater than the other because when we assemble, it's supposed to all come together
Right.
for one purpose in mind. So that therapist is there, especially if the Bible tells us that
Mhm.
there's safety in the multitude, not one, not two, multitude of counsel. Um, and your discernment is important.
Mhm.
Don't cast that away. Your intuition and the Holy Spirit leading you is absolutely positively important. So I wouldn't put all of my chips in the therapy bag without not have a relationship with Jesus. It just doesn't work that way. Balance it out. Balance it out.
You do. You have to balance it out. Like I said, my word sagacious, and they have to be just that.
Right.
Um, Minister, if you will, right now, or speak to um, a male. Someone got me when I posted this on TikTok that you were going to be speaking, and the title, of course, is minority, even though we're not the minority anymore. He was like, "We're not the minority," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know," but according to mental for minority is what this month is about. So, speak to someone right now who is struggling. They're the man who had it all or has it all. And sometimes men don't know how to be vulnerable, if you will.
Right.
So if you could just speak to that male.
Brother. As a man, I will say this, and I mean this with my whole heart. If you are in a space or in a position where you feel like you can't be vulnerable or be who it is that you are, I suggest that you get up and go find you a new space. That's not to say just vacate your responsibilities as your family, as a head of your family or things like that. But I would suggest that you would do what it is for you to be whole, not just happy, not just any of these things, because happy is fleeting. Happy comes and it goes, but wholeness remains for the rest of your days as long as you preserve it. It's okay as a black man in America, in the world, to say, "Hey, I don't have it figured out." To say, "Hey, I don't know what the next step is." We cannot get it. Everybody's looking at you to lead. Everybody's looking at you to show up and be more than you can be at times, and it's okay for you to say, I'm just not there right now." Be mindful of selfish people, whether they're in your personal space, whether in your three, whether in your 12 or your 15,000. Be mindful of selfish people because people, I just said this to someone last night, people only treat you according to where they are, not what you've done. Whatever mindset, whatever space that they're in, that's how they're going to treat you, and they're going to make it about them. You be who it is that you are based on what God told you, or who He told you that you are. You don't have to go beyond that scope of trying to be everything for everybody, because it's impossible. Then you'll leave nothing for yourself. Yes, there are going to be times where you're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to compromise. You're going to have to say, I got to put your good first in order for us to have good all the way around. And that's okay. It's okay for you to not have all the answers. It's okay for you to go somewhere and cry, because that's one thing I struggle with. I don't cry as probably as much as I should or I could. But, praise God that, His love for me has not changed because of that. It's okay for you to say to yourself, man, I just need to step away for a minute, and I just need to take a day for myself. It's okay. Doesn't matter if it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whenever you can get an opportunity to just spend time with yourself, spend time with God, go fishing. If you don't go fishing, I don't know. I mean, I'll go to the gun range, or I'll go take a drive. If you ride a motorcycle, whatever it is that you need that's healthy and it's going to lead you down a normal path, that's what you should do. Your family needs you. Go to the doctor. Brothers, let me say this again. Go to the doctor. Get your cholesterol checked. Get your A1C check. Get all of these things taken care of, because you want long life. Yes, your spirit will live forever, but your body has an expiration date. And there's no reason for us to be dying at 45, 46, 48 years old because we can't go to the doctor. You don't have health insurance? Go to an acute care clinic and get you a physical for $50. I mean, it's better than anything. It's better than nothing. Do what you have to do to make sure that you are there for those who care for you and love you. The greatest responsibility of us is to pass something down to our children and our children's children on to 1,000 generations. So get grounded spiritually. Get people around you, i.e., a man of God, woman of God, brothers, sisters, whomever, that's going to put you or allow you and motivate you to do things that are right, not just right but righteous, because you can be right and still be unrighteous. You can be there's a way to do wrong and there's a way to do right. So we have to understand and know that this life, you only get one shot at it. This isn't Super Mario Brothers where you can just turn the game off and come back, you got 3 lives. No, you have one life, and it will behoove you to live it now, to start now. It doesn't matter where you are career wise or anything like that. You can make it, and you will make it, as long as you trust and believe God for everything that you need. Everybody ain't going to agree with you, and that's okay. You got to learn how to walk alone at times. Everybody's not going to understand you. That's okay. We had a savior that people he was raised around his own people, and they still didn't receive him. So it's okay for you to say, I just don't have it right now, and be okay with that. And I promise you, once you say it one time, it'll be easier for you to say it the next time. So you do you, look out, work out, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're covered and that you can take care of your family.
Awesome.
Oh, and also, hold on. Also, make sure you choose the right women to be around you also, because that matters as much as people don't want to,
It
admit.
does matter. But you need somebody that's going to build you up,
Right.
encourage you,
And not just take
not
from
tear
you.
you down. Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. My mother always said, never make a man feel less than a man, especially in front of women or
Oof.
anyone else.
Or it's your family more than anything. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Look
Yes.
at- yes, it does, Tiffany.
Yes, so true, man. Go to the doctor. Man, go to the doctor. I lost my husband of 13 years 2 years ago because he didn't like to go to the doctors. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Now, okay, we have a history in America with Black people and going to doctors, getting tests done, and getting shot and things like that. That's ingrained in us. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna front about that. And everybody knows I live in Charlotte now, and the number one thing I've been looking for is a PCP, primary care physician, right? But I'm looking for someone specific, and I
Mhm.
think I found that person because there's nothing wrong with supporting your own. I support my own. I went to the dentist the other day. She was a baddie too, fine, black, and I loved it. She just moved to Charlotte like I did, but Yeah, and they told me, they was like, "Hey, here's a doctor. We just went down to everything. It's like, here's a doctor that's local. Go to somebody that you believe that you can trust. I mean, other people do it all the time. And then keep our money in our area. That's a whole nother podcast. But keep our money in our area. Let's support one another and stop making it seem as if though we can't trust one another, because that's what people want us to do.
Yeah,
That's what they did years ago. We don't have to be that way anymore.
my PCP is a brother, so yeah,
You're right.
I yeah, I do. I try to, anyway.
Right.
But so I have him for the last going on 4 years.
Right.
Yeah. Um, this is a good conversation, and I'm quite sure this is going to spill over into Sunday.
Found me. I'll be there. As long as the creek don't rise.
Exactly. If Yahuwah says the same, we will be back on Sunday.
Right.
Do you all have any questions for Daryl before we end this podcast?
Keep it cute. Keep it cute.
Be nice, y'all.
Excuse me. Keep it cute. I'm open.
Open for a few questions.
Yeah, open for a few questions now. Now, don't come here with no foolishness, people. Because
No,
I know how people do.
This on this podcast.
I know how people do. People will ask questions because they struggling with something, but they want to see if I'm gonna co-sign it. No, I'm not gonna co-sign it. Or you want to see if I'm struggling with it as well to see if it's okay. I'm not gonna do that either. Just if you got a genuine question, just ask it. But people do stuff like that.
Transparent on this podcast.
Absolutely.
And we didn't talk about it, but sometimes if we don't get it taken care of, we can go into an oppression, and that thing can eat us alive.
Yeah.
Very good discussion. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you. Yeah, but I always like to hear from you, even when we're doing our panels discussions, because sometimes you like, I know what y'all saying, but this is it right here.
Listen, let me tell you something. It was a long time that I didn't have an opinion. I couldn't speak up for myself. I couldn't speak up for myself. So when God really started ministering to me and be like, "Hey, I got you. No matter what, I got you." That made all the difference for me, because it's like, and the number one thing I try to teach my children is confidence and good decision making. Right? Like know who you are, stand on who you are. I just told Sugar Mama the other day, when I took out for her birthday the other week. And I was like, she's 18 now, and I'm like, you having to, it's time for you to start voting. I was like, and I said, vote the conscience. And I told her straight up, I was like, this is y'all's world now. I was like, I need you to be able to make sound decisions, not just for yourself, but for your children, which will be in turn be my grandchildren, for your little brother. I was like, we getting older now. I was like, we done did all the damage we're gonna do. We done did all this we're gonna do. So I need for you guys to really, really just take this ball and run with it. I need for y'all to be fiscally responsible, because a lot of stuff I didn't learn until I became an adult. And I tell them straight up, hey, this wisdom already paid for. You don't have to buy it again. It already belongs to the family, as Joseph would say. Stop buying what the family already owns. We already own that. We already own the poverty, so we don't have to buy more of that. We already own bad decision making. We don't have to buy any more of that. So take all of this free wisdom that I'm giving you and run with it and build your life based on it.
That's the same thing I tell my son. I wish I knew what I know now.
Right. Years ago. Yep.
My life would be totally different.
I told Daryl Jr., I was like, man, if I was smart, you'd be 6 months old right now. I'm just saying, because I would have waited and I would have lived my life, and I would have done some things where I could just say, okay, it's time for me to have children. But I mean, I'm not upset. I don't have any regrets about anything that I've done. But at the same time, yeah, if I can go back and change some things, or if I had the wisdom that I have now, my life would look totally different.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. My life would be totally different.
Yeah, I don't have a bad life, but it could be a whole lot better too. So
a lot of mistakes could have been avoided.
Absolutely. Pitfalls. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people that I said hello to, I could have just kept on walking by.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying.
Word right there.
I should have kept on walking by if I knew if
I
I
just
had
kept going.
right if I had the wisdom and knowledge I got now. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? I ain't even gotta look in your direction because I know
Mm-hmm.
what it is. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you, Daryl. We're going to finish this up on Sunday. Please
Okay.
come back and join us on Sunday for our panel discussion. It's going to be about, 6 or 7 of us, on forgiveness. And that's what we're going to talk about on Sunday. Can you speak on mental health and self-care now? I am a single parent of 2 sons from my marriage, 14 and 11.
You know what? I sure can because you know what, ma'am, Okima Bogle. I apologize for messing with your name. As a man, I can tell you, um, being a single mom, I've never been a single mom. That's true, Omar. Being a single mom, I've never been one, and I never proclaimed to be one. I was raised by one. And I can say this as a man. There are some great people out there that will help you, and there are resources out there that will help you. Don't be closed minded when it comes to help, because you don't have to be superwoman, and try to make it as if you ain't got nobody but yourself. No, there are people out there. I don't know if it's your local church, if it's the YMCA. I don't know if it's Big Brothers Big Sister program. It's some great people out there. And my mom couldn't raise a man. She couldn't. My dad couldn't raise a daughter. If we're being honest, we need certain things. Always make your children aware that your dad was great, but unfortunately, he's not here anymore. So, they're going to have to learn from men. They're going to have to learn from other people that looks like them because you Pastor Sherry, you got a son. You understand the importance of you
Absolutely.
see a boy that lives with you like every day, and you can say to yourself, "Oh, I didn't do this as a little girl," right?
Mhm.
You know that because we're wired differently.
Right.
We got different chromosomes. We got different DNA, and certain things. If I got friends that got boys, I will spend time with them if possible because I get it. I've raised successful boys, successful thus far. I'm not saying they're perfect because they got their issues.
Mhm.
Everybody knows Daryl Jr. Because he tried to clown me online, but I be on his head. And I be on Scooter and I be on Demarcus too. But at the same time, I'm just as tough with my girls as well. I want my girls choosing good mates, and I want my boys choosing good mates.
Mhm.
But Miss Okima, just know that God has somebody out there that will definitely
Mhm.
be pure in their intentions towards you and your boys. But don't be afraid because a lot of men have things that are uncommon, like certain things we're just wired with, and women can't understand it.
Mhm.
So if it looks bad, just see, go on until see what the end gonna be, because a lot of stuff we're gonna sound the same on. You know, men, you tell us something, the first thing we want to do is fix something because innately that's what's in us. But at the same time, if you really listen, if you really allow, the thing to play out, you might get more than you bargained for. So just don't be open minded. Don't be closed minded. Don't have a hard heart towards people and help. It's okay to receive help. You don't have to do it by yourself.
Mhm. You know, as a single mom who adopted a young boy, I knew that I couldn't raise him alone. This is not a plug. It's not, but it sounds good. Um, and so I was writing a book about it, and I realized that I'm raising someone else's son.
Right.
And not only I'm raising someone else's son because I didn't give birth to him, but he belongs to God.
Right.
And so everything that he's going through and things I don't know about him, I have to go to God with it.
Right.
Some things drives me crazy,
Right.
right?
Right.
But before I get into my flesh and go off, I have
Yep.
to
Yep.
pray
Yep. Use a
and
sober mind.
see this happened. This is happening because of this,
Right.
And so, if you want to purchase the book, Raising Someone Else's Child. You can get that on Amazon by Sherry Levon Harris. Okay. But me, some devil told me um, last year, the year before last, that it wasn't ordained for me to adopt a child because, I was a single parent. So I guess we would rather have a child with fourth in the system, but that's a whole nother show.
you,
Um,
you know, I like. Okay, I know we're about to leave,
Thank you,
but
Karen.
we. This is why we need professionals
Hmm.
because people say things out of their face. Basically, people say things out of their face, and you take away from what it is that God is trying to do in somebody's life. If you would have listened to this person, that young man ain't no telling where he would be. Ain't no telling where he would be, and it's and I praise God for you because especially teenagers, people don't adopt older children; they adopt babies so they
No,
can instill their belief systems and their values.
I wish I had gotten him a little earlier. He had just turned 8, and the
Right,
adoption took place on his ninth birthday.
right.
But I wish I could have gotten him earlier to uh, rescue him, if you will. But that's not the way the story was written. So
Right, right.
Yahuwah has plans for him. The story
Absolutely,
is not finished.
absolutely. Just look at it like this: you're going through the fertilizer stage with them.
Mm-hmm.
You got
Woo!
to. You're
And
going
they
through the
stink.
fertilizer stage. Yeah, exactly. That's what most people drop. That's what
Yeah,
most people drop the ball at in that fertilizer stage.
yeah.
You've tilled the land, you've planted the seed, you've watered it, but you have to fertilize.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way the increase is gonna come.
Yeah.
You got to fertilize.
Yeah.
A lot of us are in a fertilizer stage right now. It doesn't look good. It doesn't smell good. It's dark, but eventually we're gonna break through that, and we're gonna come up because when you get crops out the garden, they don't smell like fertilizer.
And then you got to still, and then after that, you got to get pruned.
Right? Exactly. So
Got to
it's
get
just the
pruned.
fertilizer stage.
Yeah. So there are stages in life, and we all go through stages.
Right.
You know, and,
Trust God with your children. Give all your children back to God. Give
mhm,
all of them back, no matter if you birthed them or not. Give them all back to Him.
absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely, absolutely. And again, if you would like to purchase this book, Raising Someone Else's Child, you can do so at www.hiswillforyourlife.com, or you can purchase it on Amazon. Someone told me I had to start marketing myself, so that's why I did it. But
Everybody else does it.
it fits, right?
Everybody else does it.
Yeah, it fits. So how can we follow you, Daryl?
Woo. If you see me going to the bank, get behind me and say, "Hey, the Lord told me to give you this." That's the easiest way to follow me. Cool. No, you can follow me on. I don't really go on Instagram much anymore, but you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. Y'all know. I used to have my page open where anybody could comment and all this type of stuff. Not anymore. My
Okay.
old page got hacked, and I don't do that no more. And I had to start all the way over. And it's kind of sort of a good thing though, because some people I needed to get rid of anyway. But just
I did too. That's why I made mine just more so like a following. I already have friends I'm gonna have. I'm not
right,
accepting any more friends
right.
because the ones I have I wanted to let go, but it's
Right. But I mean, just Daryl Williams is written out right there. That's a proper way to spell Daryl. If you see it any other way, they full of crap. That's how you spell Daryl right there. Don't let nobody else fool you. That's it. I love being on TikTok, but I'm not a TikToker. I'm laughing at other people's stuff. So, and I share people's videos
so
on TikTok.
crazy. I'm not on TikTok as much, but I uploaded a video that the algorithm just took, and I'm up to 40 something thousand. I think 43.
So you about to start getting checks from TikTok. Go ahead on. I see you.
Right. I need to learn how to get some money from TikTok.
Right. But I mean, hey, you can inbox me. And I ain't gonna guarantee I'm gonna reply, but you can if you want to. Especially if it's some foolishness. So
Yeah, I
and
don't
please
really.
use and please use proper grammar.
I know. I have a 9-year-old niece, and if you don't use proper grammar, it gets on her nerves.
Absolutely. I don't blame that baby.
Yeah,
I don't blame that baby. Shoot.
9 years old. But thank you guys for watching. This is who we are, and this is what we do. Just laid back, but I missed you guys. We haven't been on in a couple of weeks, but we are back, and we will have our panel discussion on Sunday. The topic will be on forgiveness, and that's at July 16th at 6 p.m. So
It's a part of your mental health, people.
yes, and then we're going to continue on next week with another guest on Wednesday, Nicole Kidd Taylor, who will be joining us. So please follow us on His Will for Your Life on Facebook, and also His Will for Your Life on Instagram. Thank you all. Have a great night. Any closing remarks, sir?
God bless y'all. Just remember Jesus did it. Hashtag Jesus did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it. We'll see him Sunday. It's gonna be a whole lot more by the end.
It's
A lot gonna happen between now and Sunday.
A lot of personalities. You ready, Omar? Where is he? Did he say something? Good night, and thank you for the new follow. Hope to see you sometime, and maybe we should chat. We would love to have you on the show.
God bless you.
All
It's
right.
gonna be all right with them boys.
Yeah, Omar said, yeah, he's ready. All right, you guys, have a great night, a great week, great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Sunday. Remember, it's okay not to be okay as long as you don't stay in that place. Have a good night.
Please join us again next week for another riveting, informative segment